Icarus and Daedalus, a Greek myth. In ancient Greece, there lived a brilliant inventor named Daedalus. He was famous for creating marvelous inventions, and his most impressive work was the labyrinth, a massive maze designed to contain the fearsome Minotaur. The labyrinth was so complex that even Daedalus himself could barely find his way out once inside. Daedalus built the labyrinth for King Minos of Crete, but after completing his work, the king decided to imprison Daedalus and his son Icarus in a tall tower on the island. King Minos feared that Daedalus knew too many secrets about the labyrinth and wanted to ensure he would never escape. The tower was surrounded by sea on all sides, making escape seem impossible. But Daedalus, being an inventive genius, came up with a bold plan. He would make wings for himself and his son so they could fly away from the island. Daedalus gathered feathers from birds and carefully crafted wings using wax to hold the feathers together. For weeks, he and Icarus worked, attaching the feathers to the wax and creating strong, flexible wings. Once the wings were ready, Daedalus gave Icarus a serious warning. "My son," he said, "you must be careful when we fly. Do not fly too high, for the heat of the sun will melt the wax, and your wings will fall apart. But do not fly too low either, or the moisture from the sea will make your wings heavy, and you will fall. Stay in the middle path where the air is cool and safe." Icarus nodded, but he was too excited to fully understand the danger. He was thrilled by the idea of flying like a bird, soaring freely through the sky. Daedalus strapped the wings to both their backs, and after testing their movement, the two leapt from the tower. They glided through the air, and for the first time in years, Daedalus and Icarus felt the wind rush past them as they flew away from the prison island of Crete. At first, everything went as planned. They flew over the sparkling sea, looking down at the tiny waves below. Icarus was amazed by the feeling of freedom and power that came with flying. As they soared higher and higher, Daedalus kept a watchful eye on his son, making sure he was staying at a safe distance from both the sea and the sun. But as they flew, Icarus became more confident and curious. The sky seemed limitless, and the higher he climbed, the more exhilarated he felt. Ignoring his father's warning, Icarus began to rise higher and higher, aiming for the golden light of the sun. He wanted to see how far he could go, how close he could get to the bright, glowing orb that hung in the sky. Daedalus shouted to him, begging him to come back down, but Icarus didn't listen. As Icarus flew closer to the sun, the heat began to soften the wax that held his wings together. Slowly, the feathers started to come loose. Icarus noticed something was wrong, but it was too late. One by one, the feathers fell away, and soon his wings were nothing but bare frames. Icarus flailed, trying to keep himself in the air, but without the feathers, he couldn't stay aloft. He tumbled from the sky, plummeting down toward the sea. Daedalus watched in horror as his son fell. He flew as fast as he could toward Icarus, but there was nothing he could do. Icarus plunged into the sea below, and the waves swallowed him up. Heartbroken, Daedalus searched the waters, but Icarus was gone. The sea where he fell became known as the Icarian Sea, in memory of the boy who had flown too close to the sun. Daedalus, filled with grief, continued flying alone until he reached safety. He mourned the loss of his son, knowing that Icarus had been too reckless and had not heeded his warning.